Thanks so much for listening to No Lions Here with me, Big Panda. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to No Lions Here. My name is Big Panda, and I'm a recovering sex addict. I've tried to record this intro probably like 5 to 8 times. There's this sense of perfection that I have inside of me, which, I never thought that I ever had. Like, people always were like, getting into recovery, that talks about, like, addicts being perfectionists. And I never really thought that ever, like, really applied to my life. However, getting into recovery and learning that, like, I'm seeing it more and more in my life now. So, you know what? I like this one. We're going to stick with this one. So let's keep rolling with it. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining me for another episode of my journey and what I've got going on. And, I got some really exciting things going on. But before we jump into those things, I do want to go ahead and plug the socials. If you haven't checked us out, go check out the socials on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. It's all no_lions_here. Go give us a like, a subscribe, a follow, drop in new videos basically almost every single day. Long form on YouTube, and then doing clips and reels across kind of the other social platforms. And really excited to be in the space and just, doing what I can to just spread the message, and also, like, share my journey and throughout all of this. I don't feel like that there's enough advocacy out there for, sex addicts and sexual addiction and just, men's mental health, men's health in general. As you can see, I'm sporting the mustache right now. It is November, so Movember. It's funny because they talk about, like, No Shave November, but then it's also Movember. And Movember is basically awareness for men's health. I think it started out for, like, testicular cancer, but I know for me, it's more or less just, men's health in general. So I'm going to be rocking the stash all November long. And, I feel like I'm finally to that age where, like, the mustache doesn't look terrible on me. Like, I feel like I can kind of pull it off right now. And I may be completely wrong. However, I think that I can pull it off. So I'm just going to stick with that belief of myself and just keep rocking it. Super exciting stuff going on, though. My buddy Kyle, my business partner, he's been in town. So he lives out of state. And, he's the one that has basically, outfitted the entire studio for me. It's just stuff that he's kind of accumulated over the years. And I'm super grateful and super thankful for his help. And not only his help, but his belief in me and his belief in what we're doing here at No Lions Here. From day one, honestly, he was, I've known him since 6th grade. And now we're in our 30s, so a long time. And he's been a close friend of mine for a long time. And this was back even before I went to treatment. I was in such a low, desperate place that I started reaching out to all my friends and just telling them that what was going on. And again, this was probably, I'd say probably like 5 days after the discovery, after, getting kicked out of the house, Patricia, and, before, I think it was like right after I decided that, okay, like, I'm going to go to treatment again. It was probably about 5 days after the breakup, because before that, I just went on a 5-day bender. And so I was just so desperate to be heard and to just get out what was going on with me that I just started calling on my friends, right? And I just started just laying it all out there. And it really helped, right? Like, there was a lot of relief that came from that. But in talking to Kyle, and even before going to treatment, I've shared this before. It's like, I remember I was laying in bed one night and I was like, what do I want to do with my life? And I just thought to myself, like, I want to tell my story. And I remember the first time that was very like freeing. Like I actually felt like positive emotions and feelings around that. And so I remember, I don't know when it was after that, maybe the next day or so, but I called and I told him about it. And I said, man, I want to share my story. And he said, I'll help you in any way that I can. I'll help you. I love that idea. I love that for you. I want to help you. And then, months later, the idea of the podcast came around. And I remember I did my first podcast, did my first episode, and sent it over to him. And he was like, dude, keep doing it. Keep doing it. It's great. Keep doing it. And so just from then on, he's been there. He hasn't been the only one, but and then he's like, all right, man, I got, we took over the studio. He's been moving in. He's got an office here. I'm going to have him on the show probably in December, whenever he comes back in town. But, just a lot of gratitude around the situation. Like I am, very illiterate when it comes to the recording stuff, the video stuff, setting all this stuff up. And he's been here to not only give me equipment, but also troubleshoot. He's helped me troubleshoot a lot of stuff. Basically, like we're up and running because of him. And so I'm really grateful for his knowledge and his belief in me. Just to help me get this thing off the ground and running. So, especially, now that we're doing it on our own. So I'm just want to give a shout out to Kyle, and just everything that he's done for me. So the studio's looking, it's funny because we have different views, like me coming in as somebody who is very like illiterate, like I said, when it comes to audio recording, video recording, setting it up, setting everything up. And him, on the other hand, someone who's been playing music and recording his whole life, like I'm looking at the studio going, wow, look at this place is legit. It's set up. And he's like, yeah, there's still more stuff we can do. And I'm looking at it going, what are you talking about, man? Like we got a Cadillac here. And he's like, it's more like a Ford Focus, but it's getting there. So it's just, it's interesting to see just the different perspectives. Cause I'm sitting here going, wow, this is awesome. And he's like, there's more we can do. So, as long as he's here and willing to help me, then you know what, we'll make this look however he wants to. That's fine with me. So yeah, just been in the studio. We're just doing a lot in here. And also, from my end, here in the next couple weeks, I've got about 6 interviews lined up. So one of the big things that I want to throw out there is I reached out to another buddy who is a listener of the show, just asking for some feedback. Hey, man, what do you like? What do you don't like? What do you want to hear more of? And, he threw out, like, you should do some Q&As whenever you have guests on. So I want to take a moment to just plug some of the guests that I've got coming on starting here in about 2 weeks. Over the course of about a week, I got about 5 or 6 interviews that I'm going to be doing, and I'm really excited. Got some new people on. Basically, I think I have 1 returning guest that week, but the rest are all new people. So first up, we're having Sako Babarian he is a CSAT from Beginning and Institute. I have not had him on the show yet. I know you guys have heard Matt and Nate. Reach out to Sako, and he's going to be coming on, and he wants to talk about ADHD and addiction. So I'm super excited to have him on. And then next after that, we've got Melissa Colleen, the recovery coach. I had her on a few, earlier this year. But she's going to come on, and we're going to talk some enmeshed relationships. It was really cool when I had her on. She had said that, she had listened to my episode on me being a mother enmeshed man, and that she was a mother that enmeshed with her son. So she's going to come on, and we're going to talk dynamics around that. So I'm really excited to have her back on. After that, we've got Dr. Eddie Caparucci, who is an author, a CSAT, a speaker, and I've read a couple of his books, actually. When I went to BAI for the second time for the 5-day trauma intensive, we got one of his books, and I read it, and I thought it was great. Talking a lot about, it really was an introduction to like the inner child work that I realized that I really needed to be doing. And so that was kind of like my introduction to it. And he's got some really, really good stuff around just inner child work and how it relates to sexual addiction and recovery. And so we were supposed to have him on around this time last year, but just some things didn't line up. So really excited to have him back on. After that, I've got Ed Tilton coming on. He is the president of Begin Again Institute, going to talk about his story, what got him into the business, and then kind of what Begin Again has going on. It sounds like we talked yesterday, and it sounds like they've got some really exciting things coming up. So I'm really excited to have him share that stuff with you guys. And then after that, I've got Erin from Inner Ray. Inner Ray is like relationship coaching. I had Eric on who used to work for them. So she's a relationship coach. And I think she also has kind of like her own story as far as 12-step recovery goes. So I'm really excited to have her on. So what I'm asking from you guys is questions. What questions do you guys have for these different guests? If you're watching on YouTube, comment below in the comment section your questions. If you're listening to this on Spotify, feel free to shoot me an email. That email is nolionshere@gmail.com. Again, that's nolionshere@gmail.com. But, I basically what I want to do is when I have guests on, for the last, 10, 15 minutes of the interview, do viewer questions and answers. So feel free, guys, shoot me questions, just send it over to me, and I'd love to, again, get a little bit more engagement from the listeners as far as, again, some of the questions for these professionals. And I'm going to be doing that, moving forward. Anytime I'm going to have a new guest on, I'll definitely let you guys know beforehand, and feel free to send me over, any questions that you got so that I can then, I'll ask them. You send them, and I'll ask them. All right. I like that. So yeah, as far as where I've been, just a lot of fear going on right now. I feel like that's been a pretty big constant for me lately. Just feeling overwhelmed with just everything that I've got going on. And it's all really good stuff. However, for me, it's just trying to find that balance of, just how do I balance this stuff? Which is just, it's really tough. Because part of me just wants to jump in headfirst on everything that I do. And one of the things that, I really wanted to talk about was like line stepping. So I had a guy in a meeting recently share that, part of his addiction was all about, the way he described it wasn't so much about him acting out or, getting that relief. It was, what can I get away with? How far can I push the line? And can I get away with it? Can I beat the system almost? And so definitely wanted to talk about that because that was a really good topic. And you know what? It's something that, I need to take responsibility for. That's a part of my addiction that, I didn't really think about. But it totally was like building up that false sense of confidence in my acting out, in my behaviors. It's like, the first time you do something and you really shouldn't be doing it, and you're like, oh my gosh, I really shouldn't be doing this. And then like you get away with it. And then that just like builds this confidence. And like, okay, well, I just moved the line. The line was here, but now that I got away with it, now I can push it a little further. And, that is just a really, really interesting aspect of addiction as far as like just testing, what can I get away with? Oh, I got away with that one time. I can definitely do that again. And I want to take responsibility for the times that I've done that to people, because that's for me, that's what it comes down to. It wasn't so much like personal lines, it was lines with other people, specifically in relationships. It was, what can I get away with? Okay, I got away with this once. I can keep doing this and I can keep getting away with it, until it got to the point where it was sloppy. Because I know for me, in my addiction, there comes a time, in that vicious cycle where, I acted out, or I used, and then, I covered my tracks. I had to cover my tracks, clear my browser history, delete apps, delete text messages, delete pictures. Like, there were a lot of things that I was doing to cover my tracks. And I'm sure a lot of people can relate to that, with addiction. And so having to, covering those tracks and then realizing, like, okay, or maybe I didn't cover my tracks well enough. Maybe I didn't completely delete my browser history, but you know what? She's not going to find it. So I'm good. I'm all right. And that was essentially like what led to my discovery. Was I did not clean up because I was so confident in what I was doing, that false sense of confidence in my behaviors, that I was like, oh, she'll never look. She won't look. It'll be all right. She hasn't looked in 2 years, so I'm good. And that absolutely was part of, what can I get away with? That habitual line stepping when it came to relationships. And, it's something that I need to be aware of. Again, I need to take responsibility for that and own that. Like, I did that. I totally did that. I wanted to see how far I could push the line and how I could beat the system. It's almost like that mentality of, you tell me I can't do something, watch me. Watch me do it. Or actually, what it is it's more like, you tell me I can't do something, but inside my head, I'm not going to say this, I wasn't going to say this out loud, but in my head, it's like, watch me. Watch me get away with this. No, I don't do that stuff. No, gaslighting for sure. I don't do that stuff. But in my head, I'm like trying to figure out how I can do it again. And just constantly just overstepping lines and pushing lines. And, in the end, just creating more trauma. Right? Because two hands here, like, I am a victim of trauma and I am a perpetrator of trauma. And I can hold both of those things. Both of those things are true. And again, just wanting to, I really appreciated that perspective when the guy brought that up in the meeting, because I think that goes in line with, my living amends and wanting to, again, own up to the things that I've been doing that have hurt other people. And that's a big one. That is a big one. And, trying to live my life today to where I don't want to cross lines. If somebody tells me I can't do something, I don't want to have that voice in the back of my head that says, watch this, I'm going to do it anyway. Like, that's not how I want to live my life. And, that's why I really like when people meet me where I'm at. Because as an addict, and I think a lot of people can relate to this, whether you're an addict or not, but that whole, like, I don't like being told what to do. I would rather you, because if you're always telling me what to do, well, then I don't want to bring anything up to you. I don't want to talk to you about what I've got going on, because you're just going to tell me what to do, and that's not what I need. I more or less just need you to hear me and to meet me where I'm at. And so the relationships that I have in my life look a lot like that. It's a lot of it is meeting me where I'm at. And I know that for me, that's really important. And that's kind of what I need in my support network, my support group, is people that are going to meet me where I'm at. And then can I do that on the other side of it? Can I meet people where they're at? And can I steer away from not trying to tell people what to do? Because I find that sometimes I want to go to that place when someone calls me and they're struggling, or maybe I have a problem with what their program looks like. And now that totally falls back onto me. Because if I don't like, right, the program teaches us what's my part in this. What's my part in this? And if I don't like what someone else is doing, it's because I don't like what I'm doing. Or maybe I have a problem with what my program looks like. Or maybe I'm jealous, envy. I can feel that sometimes too. Absolutely. So, if I want people to meet me where I'm at, I need to meet people where they are at. I need to take ownership of my actions around other people's programs. And again, meet them where they're at. I don't want to sit here and tell you what to do, even though I think I know. I think that I can tell you what to do and that you should listen to me. And then if you don't listen to me, well then, but that's not the right way to approach things. And that's not how I want to be approaching these people and these relationships in my life. That's really not how I want to be doing things. So, just, working on meeting people where they're at. Also, this is a good thing. Meet myself where I'm at too. Like, because again, I talk about this all the time. Just how hard I am on myself is it's very shaming, and so I need to learn, how I can do a better job of meeting myself where I'm at and allowing myself to be where I'm at. If that makes any sense. Yeah, that makes sense. But just allowing myself to do that as well. Like, can I do that for myself? And if I can do that with myself, then I can approach other people like that as well. I think it comes down to, loving myself and approaching myself with love. And that, when I'm in these down places or struggling, or, maybe I'm in my middle circle, or maybe I'm even in my inner circle, just meeting when I'm in those places, like, I deserve more love, not less. Just like if you're listening and you get into those places, you deserve more love, not less. Like, if it was easy, if the program and addiction was as easy as just saying, okay, I don't want to do this anymore. Why do I keep doing it? I'm just going to stop. If it was that easy, I wouldn't have this podcast. You guys wouldn't be listening. The world would look a lot different. However, that's not the case. It's not as simple as just shaming myself into stopping or guilting myself into stopping whatever it is I want to stop. I've been stuck in this way, and this self-deprecating way of thinking for so long that shaming myself is the opposite of what I need to be doing. I need to be loving myself and connecting with myself, right? Connection with self. I think for me and my program is huge, because I've been so disconnected from myself and my feelings for so long. Like, I shared recently that, I'm in the best place physically, spiritually, mentally, emotionally that I've ever been in my life. Now, that doesn't mean that I have it all figured out, right? Like, that just means just for today. Like, and that it's a process, and that it's always going to be changing. Some days I'm not going to feel good emotionally or mentally or spiritually or physically. But considering where I'm at today compared to 2.5 years ago, even if I was to go act out today, like, that would look a whole lot different than what it would have looked like 2.5 years ago. And, I pray to God that God does keep me sober today. That's part of my prayer, just for today. I've definitely been really trying to look at every day. And this kind of like ebbs and flows for me of like getting into that, like just for today. Just for today, if I can stay sober today, then that's all that I care about. I don't need to think about tomorrow or the next day, like just for today, which sounds, I guess it doesn't sound, it took me a long time in recovery to kind of grasp that. And I thought, well, if I'm only thinking about just today, well, then how am I supposed to plan out my life? Or, how am I, if I'm just thinking about today, and again, I way overanalyzed it. And, so a lot of this stuff, it's simple, yet it's not simple at the same exact time. So, you just got to kind of find that balance with it. And, sometimes I forget it. Sometimes I remember it. We're not these robots that, okay, everything's filed away and I know exactly when to bring it up, this happened. Oh, I know exactly what to do with that. Like, we're not robots. We're human beings. We have a lot going on. There needs to be, for me, more room for grace, compassion, and love for myself. And then if I can find that, I'm okay. And it's not going to be perfect, It's just simply just, attuning to myself and just allowing myself to love myself and love whatever it is that's coming up. Love whatever arises, whether that be anxiety, loneliness, anger. Like, these systems were all put in place to protect me. Those feelings are warning signs. And that instead of pushing them away or thinking that I'm wrong for feeling those things, I need to embrace those things and love those parts of me and thank those parts of me. Thank you for showing me the anxiety that's there. Clearly, I've got some fear going on that I need to take a look at. I'm feeling lonely, just loving those parts of me because those are trying to tell me what's going on. And that I need to listen to them and to attune to them and just be there. Be there for myself. Approach myself with love when I'm feeling that type of way. And, acting out, this may sound, I'm interested to see how this sounds after I say it. Acting out is not the problem. Only the solution to a perceived insoluble problem. Acting out is not the problem. Only the solution to a perceived insoluble problem. Because in my mind, acting out is that relief. Right? That is how I'm trying to gain relief from whatever it is I'm feeling. It's just a broken way of going about it. And that what I really want is relief. Like, I really don't want to go act out. I don't want to. But what I want is relief. And I have trouble finding that on a consistent basis. And that's what, recovery is about. And that is what my program is. That's what I'm, trying to find. And that's what we gain in recovery is tools. And that one tool may work this time, another tool may work another time. But it's all about being able to pick those tools up. And sometimes that can feel pretty exhausting, if I'm being honest with you. Like, sometimes I get into these places and I'm like, I don't want to pick up the tool. Or, man, this tool, this seems like this tool, I don't know. It comes down to relief. Like, I am trying to find relief. I am not acting out or using because I want to actually act out or use. It's because I'm trying to find relief. I'm trying to find relief. And I've been using those ways of relief for so long that that's just what my brain runs to, right? And so in recovery, we're trying to change the pathways in our brains. And, not only is this a spiritual program, there's also science behind it and how we can go about things. And yeah, it's relief. That's what I'm looking for. That's what people are looking for when they act out. That's what people are looking for when they use is relief. Again, it's not because I want to be doing these things. It's because I'm looking for relief from pain that is very, very deeply rooted inside of me. So, yeah, I think that this was a conversation that I had with Jeff, my sponsor, recently. Was like, around sobriety, and there's times where I struggle with sobriety, and I brought this up to him, and I was like, like, it's almost like I want to be sober until I don't want to be sober. And he was like, well, let's look at it this a different way. He's like, I have all the belief in the world that you want to be sober. It comes down to relief. You act out because you're looking for relief. And that made a lot of sense to me. That made a lot of sense, and just it's a less shameful way of looking at it. Because again, the shame, you want to talk about shame, shame's powerful. Shame's powerful and very destructive. Like, shame serves no purpose to me in my life. So instead of shaming myself, and that's where the program comes into, that's where different perspectives come into play. Like, it's about relief. I'm not doing these things. I know I've said that. I already said this. It's not. I don't want to act out. I want relief, and I want to be able to find relief on a consistent basis. And that just takes putting in the work, day in and day out. Just for today, what can I do? What's my program look like today? How connected am I? What am I doing for myself? And there's always things that we can look at and learn. And then on the other side of that, it's like not shaming myself for because I think the human condition, we are always going to look at ourselves and always say, I could be doing more. I could be doing more. And is that true? Yeah, sure, maybe that's true. Yeah. There's always things that I could be doing more. However, I don't always do more. And that's okay too. Shame. Stay away from the shame. Which is much easier said than done. Because I've lived in shame my whole life. My whole life. And I don't know if shame is something that's ever going to be totally like eliminated from the feelings. I don't know. But it's like, how do I approach that? Do I jump into the boat with those thoughts of like, just stop it? Why don't you just stop it? Or do I just let that boat just float on by? And then maybe the next boat in my train of thoughts is love. I can absolutely hop into that boat and love myself. And say, Alex, you're doing a lot better than you were 2.5 years ago. There's more love for myself now. I can actually I can kind of feel that now. It's not always constant, but it's there. And I can feel it. Yeah. So yeah, if you're out there and you're struggling today, and whether that be you're sober, you're not sober, you're feeling down, you're feeling guilty, you're feeling shameful, just remember, you deserve more love, not less. You're exactly where you're supposed to be. I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. This is all part of our plan. This is all part of the greater scheme of things. There's things to be learned when we're in these places. Are we going to make the choice to learn from them? Or are we going to make the choice to stuff them down? We always have the choice. We always have the choice. No one's holding a gun to my head saying, yeah, I don't know where I was going with that. We deserve more love, not less. So I think on that one, guys, I think I'm going to end the episode here. It's weird because it feels, shorter than normal, which is totally fine. That is totally okay. But again, back to the socials. Go check us out: YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. It's all no_lions_here. Go check us out. Go give us a like, a subscribe. As always, all the episodes on Spotify. This is actually episode 60, which I don't know. I think whenever I get to round numbers, I'm like, oh, that's a big number. That's a big number, 60. So this is episode 60. So if you're joining on YouTube, go check out all the other 59 episodes on Spotify. Again, guys, with the guests that I've got coming up, feel free to reach out again with questions. Comment them down below on the YouTube video. And if you're listening on Spotify, send me an email. nolionshere@gmail.com. Again, that's nolionshere@gmail.com. Thank you guys so much for joining me on my journey. I really appreciate it. I'm super excited for what we've got going on over here and just what we're doing and the message that we're spreading. And I got some things in the works right now and that I'm really excited about to see just what the future holds. So, and so my challenge with that is to stay in today. Stay in today, give it up to God, and not try to move too far ahead of myself. One day at a time, what can I do for myself today? How can I be there for somebody else today? How can I be there for myself? Thank you guys so much for joining me on my journey. I really appreciate it. Keep coming back. It works if you work it. And as always, you are worth it. Have a good one. We'll see you guys next time.